Yo, what's up everyone? My name is Andrew Warren, and in today's video, we're mainly going to be just talking more in depth on the most recent announcement of S&P 500 inclusion for Tesla stock. So, if you're not familiar with this announcement, it was recently stated that Tesla will be added to the S&P 500 before the normal trading hours open up on December 21st. So, if you're not familiar with what this means, it basically means that for Tesla to be in the S&P 500, a lot of funds are going to have to be adding more shares of Tesla to replicate the S&P 500, and then in general, a big purchase is going to have to be made as well for Tesla to be included in the S&P 500 itself. So you have the S&P 500 including the addition of more funds, and then you also have people replicating the S&P 500 with their own funds. So for example, you have like fund managers that are trying to replicate the S&P 500, kind of similar to how you have like ARK ETFs or you have VOO right here. Like for example, you have robotic ARK Invest funds. You have many different types of funds. Some of them want to replicate the S&P 500, and then others have their own niche type of thing as well, like with robotics or financial services or things like that. So in today's video, we're mainly going to be discussing what are the impacts of S&P 500 inclusion. Even aside from just this mandatory purchase, are there going to be a lot of investors buying this stock before this December 21st date? And so I want to talk about this because I think this is something that's going to be a bit similar to what we saw with the stock split for Tesla. And of course, as always, before we get into this video, please make sure to smash that like button. It really does help me out. And also, feel free to take advantage of my referral link to Robinhood or Webull. With Webull right now, you can get 3 free stocks valued up to $1,600. And to get that, all you have to do is sign up with my referral link and deposit $100 into your account. You can take that $100 right back out after you get your free stock. So it's really worth your time, in my opinion, if you just want some extra pocket change or some extra money to spend on a fractional share or something of Tesla. So definitely feel free to take advantage of that because that's the most stocks that I've seen them offer for free before. But just getting into Tesla stock, like I said, I think this could be an event similar to what we saw with the most recent stock split. So as you can see, we have this big run up from August 11th all the way to this peak on August 31st. And according to this chart, this was the all-time high price for Tesla. It reached almost $500 per share. And I honestly think, especially with this most recent S&P 500 inclusion announcement, that we will be seeing Tesla hitting over $500 by the time of the end of the year. So this is a big possibility, in my opinion, just because as with big events like this, you always have a lot of traders or investors that are trying to ride this wave of hype, in addition to people that are just wanting to simply buy more for the long term in general, and this just presents itself a bigger opportunity for them to want to take advantage of it. So this is a situation where we will likely see kind of a similar run up, at least in my opinion. Of course, nothing that I say in this video is to be considered financial advice. This is just simply some of the ideas I have in my mind right now of possibilities that we could see, but I think there could be a similarity between the run up that we saw from August 11th to August 31st and what we may be seeing with today and the S&P 500 inclusion on December 21st. Now, I'm not saying the run-up will be as big as the stock split. However, on paper, you would think that it would be as big, if not bigger, or at least a similar trend in that sense, because at this point, it's not only just in a situation like with the stock split, that was really not guaranteed that people will be buying. But with this situation with the S&P 500, it is guaranteed that a big purchase is going to be made. And then with the other ones that are trying to replicate the S&P 500 fund, then of course they have the choice as to whether they want to pick up shares. But with the actual S&P 500, it's pretty much just mandatory. So with this situation, we actually have a guarantee of a large purchase in comparison to with the stock split, where really nothing is guaranteed there. One can assume that there's going to be a run up just because of that perception of a cheaper stock price and it being more attractive. But like I said, nothing is really guaranteed there when it comes to an actual purchase. Whereas with this situation with the S&P 500, it's a much different story. And I think a lot of retail investors could be acting on this idea as well in terms of just picking up a few more shares. I would definitely be doing so right now if I had the extra cash. Unfortunately, I just don't. At this point in time, my main focus is maxing out my Roth IRA for the year, and then I'll be worrying about my taxes after that. But just in general, even after this most recent run up of 13% today, I still feel like $462 is a really good buy-in price for Tesla stock if someone is willing to hold it for the long term. So if we're looking looking back on this price in 2030, I think this is going to look ridiculously cheap, and I think there's going to be a lot of people wishing that they would have had the foresight to purchase some Tesla shares, even though it may seem expensive at this point in time. Like I said in the most recent portfolio update, it's all about trying to think of the opportunities you can see in the long term and whether it is worth purchasing based on those opportunities and whether other people have already taken advantage of those opportunities. So like I said, if I had cash on the sidelines and was able to spend that cash, then I honestly still think even at this point in time, after the run up today of around 13%, that Tesla stock is still worth buying for those long-term investors out there that have the patience to hold long-term and won't be tempted to sell on the volatility days, or even on the days where it drops 20%. You have to have that mental fortitude to be able to say, I still trust this vision in the long term. And if you don't have that mental fortitude, then that could be a different story. You might be tempted to sell it and you could end up losing money. So you do have to make sure you know yourself and you know your investing mindset before you go all in on Tesla stock and decide to buy some. But if you're someone on the sidelines right now that is simply just thinking about, is this stock worth purchasing? To get a better grasp on Tesla stock, I definitely recommend just looking up a lot of information about it, whether it's new news pieces or even just YouTube videos breaking it down in terms of like a long-term analysis. There's a lot of good videos out there that really emphasize the value in Tesla, especially with their rapid rate of innovation and constantly changing things to stay ahead of the competition. And that's truly the advantage that Tesla has as a disruptive company, because a lot of these legacy automakers and even a lot of the other EV automakers out there are not able to rapidly change things like Tesla is. And obviously as a company, it's a bold move to continue making big changes like this and innovating constantly rather than just releasing a new model every single year instead of small changes every couple of months or every couple of weeks. But when the reward from that risk pays off, that's where Tesla really has the advantage. And this is a situation where I think if you're especially a new investor and you're considering this company, just check out some of the things that they do with engineering. Sandy Monroe has a bunch of great videos on that one. Solving the Money Problem also discusses engineering every now and then as well. And then, like I said, you can always be researching news pieces. It's something that I usually do almost every day. I have to admit, over the past couple of weeks, I haven't been staying up to date on Tesla as much as I normally would, but now I'm back on the grind and everything's good to go. So I'm definitely going to be paying attention to the news pieces regarding Tesla. But like I said, if you're just a new investor at the table and Tesla stock is something that you've been thinking about recently, then this is one that may be considered expensive for what it's currently doing at this point in time. But in that long-term perspective and judging just the mindset of this company and how they're constantly innovating and making big changes and disrupting industries, then there's really a big advantage in buying Tesla and holding it for the long term. And honestly, most of the people that are buying Tesla right now and have been buying Tesla are holding for the long term. They're holding for 10 plus years. And so this is kind of a perspective that people have on Tesla that we may not see with a lot of other companies out there. And one could even say that's another big advantage of holding Tesla, which is that a lot of the base that owns Tesla is holding for the long term. But in terms of the S&P 500 inclusion announcement, of course it could go either way. I could end up being wrong and it could actually not have a notable run up or anything like that. But just judging on recent events and the whole situation with the stock split, I think we may at least see some gradual incline with this share price over the next couple of weeks up until this December 21st date. And also in addition to that, just referencing other fund managers once again, they can make the decision to buy Tesla to replicate the S&P 500, and they can actually do that earlier than this December 21st date. So we may see a lot of other fund managers out there buying Tesla stock, and that's just another situation where keeping up with these news pieces can really keep you in the loop on what's happening with Tesla. But anyways, with this video, I kind of just wanted to explore the topic of, could we be seeing a surge happening over these next couple of weeks? I think this is definitely a situation where it's more possible of us seeing a surge than us not seeing one. And also, just to add this in as a side note, the only downside for today with this 13% gain in after hours is the fact that with tomorrow, we could maybe end up being disappointed, in which it could go a little bit lower than this 13% gain. That's the only downside to it being in the after hours. I kind of wish it happened in the normal market hours because I feel like it's much more likely that we would continue to see it be in the green for tomorrow as well. And so that would carry over with that 13% already being factored in for today. Whereas like with what we're seeing right now with the after hours, that's kind of going to be carrying over tomorrow, in which we basically have to maintain that 13+% gain for it to end up being as good of a day as the after hours was for today. So that's the only unfortunate thing about this surge being in the after hours, is that it has to maintain that consistency with that growth percentage for basically the rest of the normal market hours tomorrow, at least until that 4 p.m. marker. So I'm at least hoping we can maintain somewhere around that gain percentage. I would even be happy even if it goes down to like a plus 10% gain, as long as we can keep it at 10+% gain for this most recent run up and for tomorrow, then I'm going to be satisfied. But I just wanted to note that as well, where it happened in the after hours, it's going to be carrying over tomorrow. So there could be that possibility of tomorrow's normal market hours not ending with as big of a gain as we saw in the after hours today. But regardless, in general, I think we're going to see a bunch of pretty solid green days, at least over the next couple of weeks or so, up until this S&P 500 inclusion. But anyways, I just wanted to share this video with you all. I know it wasn't anything super special, but sometimes I just like to get on here and talk about what I'm thinking right now and over the next couple of weeks what we could be seeing out of the market, at least in my opinion. So please make sure to smash that like button if you enjoyed this video. And also, like I said, feel free to check out my referral links. You can get 3 free stocks valued up to $1,600. So that's always a great opportunity for nice passive income. But anyways, I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your week.